At the beginning of the story, on December 25, a group of masked men hijacked a bus. While the police are chasing after her, a girl on a motorcycle passes the bus and stops her bike in front of it. Before the bike hits, the girl jumps out and makes a dramatic entrance by kicking the windshield of the bus. He introduces himself as Weird Juice, a hero who fights for justice. The masked men attack him, but he grabs an iron straw from somewhere and smashes them all without breaking a sweat. After all the men are defeated, the bus driver lets go of the wheel and attacks Weird Juice as if possessed. As the bus starts to spin out of control, Strange Juice loses his balance and falls to the floor. He calls a girl named Rabra to take the wheel, but when Rabra tries to move the pedals, they don't work. A hacker girl named Pumpkin Chair then contacts Strange Juice and tells him to use the computer to solve the situation. He makes a spike from the ground in front of the bus, then punctures its tires, stopping it from going off the road and into the sea. When the bus stops and all the robbers seem defeated, a man gets out and puts a gun to Weird Juice's head. He says that he intends to kill her, but stops when he sees the G-shaped mark on her neck. At this moment, the boy who has been on the bus the whole time wakes up and is the first to see Rabra's panties. Suddenly, he becomes energized and his hair turns red. He hits the gunman and they both fly out the window. When he wakes up, the boy sees Weird Juice standing over him. Unexpectedly, the wind blows open her panties. And when the boy sees them, his nose bleeds profusely and he faints again. Then a ray of light came from the sky and touched him. When the boy wakes up for the second time, he sees a white cat that starts talking to him. The cat introduces himself as Cairo Soup and tells the boy, Yuda, that his soul has left his body, but he is not dead yet. Just like Kairon Asuki, he is now a spiritual entity. Cairo Soup reveals that they are currently in the abandoned apartment 203, which is located below apartment 103, where Yuda's body is located. He shows Yuda a live feed of apartment 103, where he sees someone who looks just like him. Yuda immediately swims to that apartment, but cannot enter it, because the room is protected by anti-spirit talismans. Cairo Soup reveals that Yuda's body is being controlled by another spirit being who entered his body after the bus hijacking and expelled the original spirit. According to him, the only way to get the body back is to follow a secret ritual found in the Nandala Gandala, an ancient Indian holy book. This book is inside an apartment building called Kora House. He doesn't know where, confused but left with no other choice. Yuda begins looking for the book in the apartment of a man named Ito, whom he believes to be the most suspicious. In the dark apartment, he can't see anyone until Ito comes out of another room in only a shirt and underwear. When Yuda sees Ito's panties, he powers up like before. He tries to escape and swims through the wall, but there he sees the panties of another girl who is jumping for some reason.
Sensational.
Suddenly, a huge explosion occurs on the Earth's surface, now above the barren planet Earth. Kuranasu explains to Yuda that if he gets too excited, an asteroid will fall and destroy humanity. When he's excited normally, he gains superhuman powers, but if he's excited again when he's already excited, his limiter breaks and he loses consciousness. Yuda doesn't understand what this has to do with asteroids, but Kuranasu tells him not to ask questions and not to get excited if he doesn't want to destroy humanity. Fortunately, it turns out that Yuda can go back in time and restore everything, because the laws of space and time do not apply to spiritual entities. Yuda has a lot of questions, but Kuranasu sends her back to her apartment. Now he will soon see Uru's panties. He goes through the wall and enters a nearby apartment, where he sees a pink-haired girl named Mikan. He is looking for a book and starts jumping to see if it is on top of the bookshelf. Yuda averted his eyes to avoid seeing her panties. She remembers that she was secretly a member of a popular idol group called Shizme. At that moment, Robert knocks on Mikan's door and asks for salt to exorcise the demon. He also returns a book to Mikan that another tenant named Mika asked him to return, but it turns out to be a strange historical novel instead of the one he was looking for. Hearing this, Yuta visits Mika's apartment and sees the book under his desk, but he doesn't touch it. Kairanasu appears and tells him that his psychic power level is too low to move the book. Trying to move a ball of string with his spiritual power, Yuyu succeeded, and his spiritual power rose to a higher level. It turns out that using his powers makes them stronger. Later, Yuta sees a news report at a movie theater in Tokyo that an armed group calling themselves the Kume Group has taken people hostage. The same group is believed to have been involved in the hijacking of the bus he was on. Mikan finally finds the book he's been looking for by her door. Mika then walks up to him and tells him that there is an emergency and he has to evacuate. Mikan does an unnecessary transformation dance and then just wears a weird costume. As she puts it on, Yuta is excited to see her underwear. Mycenae activates a secret passage. Mikaden and Mika descend into a room filled with motorcycles. It turns out that Mika is actually the pumpkin chair, someone who always supports Strange Juice on his missions. While Strange Juice is driving, a thread from Mika's sweater gets caught on his bike and the sweater comes off completely. The sight of Mika in her underwear once again excites him, leading to the extinction of humanity. He goes back in time again, but this time he wakes up 2 days after the bus was stolen. Mika visits Rabara, who is feeling down because the last exorcism didn't go well. Even though he is from a priestly family, he does not have any spiritual power, but he still keeps trying. Suddenly, a scream is heard from Ito's apartment. Mika goes there and knocks on Ito's door, but even though the noises continue, Ito denies that anything happened. In the end, Mika decides to leave him alone and leaves. In empty room 203, Toranosuke tells Yuta that he can't control going back in time very well with his psychic power. That's why he woke up on December 23, 2 days after the bus was stolen. He shows Yuta a live feed from apartment 103, where they see a man with a suspicious box on Yuta's body. At his apartment, Yuta decides to focus on finding Nandala Gandala. Mika watches a video about cheermen and sees a strange technique used to cheer someone up. Meanwhile, Rabara is sending a message to someone he's interested in because he's an exorcist. He wants to date her, but is worried that she will reject him if he finds out that she is fake. We learn that Yuta has a younger sister who has suddenly decided to study abroad in the US. Mika visits Rabara and brings her apple pie to make her feel better. When she saw Rabara's pet turtle, she got scared and ran out of the room, dropping the cinnamon she had brought along with the apple pie. As it turns out, he can't stand turtles. Mika then visits Rabara with a pigeon mascot and starts doing a strange dance. He says it's Chairman C, but Rabara hears necromancy instead and thinks Mika is teasing him about being a bad exorcist. Because of this, they quarrel. Meanwhile, Ito gets a call from someone who wants him to go back to school, but he says he doesn't want to go anymore. When she hangs up, Mika visits her with apple pie. At Rabara's apartment, Yuta watches Mika's Chairman C dance to summon the spirit, but of course it doesn't work. Toranosuke appears and tells Yuta that he should try contacting him. He says that cinnamon boosts mental energy and that Mika had accidentally spread a lot of it around the room earlier. Yuta listens to him and begins to focus his energy on the vase. Soon the vase breaks. He levels up. Meanwhile, Mikaden tells Ito she's worried because Ito was locked in her room for the past few days. Mecha notices many weird things, like scratch marks on the door and a raw fish on the floor. Ito tries to convince Mecha that she eats raw fish and made the scratch marks, but Mecha remains unconvinced. Ito starts acting erratically, which makes Mecha even more concerned. Megan yells for someone to come help her, and Rabara and Mika arrive and fuse. Suddenly, a bear cub comes out from somewhere, and everyone is dumbfounded. Ito explains that she found it in a cardboard box on the street one day. Except for Robert's turtle, no pets are allowed in Korea House. Samiko wants to report the cub to the authorities, but Rutito says the bear is the only one who understands her. Feeling sorry for her, Mecha and Rabara manage to convince Mika to let Ito keep the cub until they find out where it came from. Later, Yuta, Harrison, Academy, and Mecha talk about why Ito stopped going to school, but nobody knows. We find out that Yuta made friends with Ito in the past, and they would play video games together. However, she never told him why she stopped going to school. In the present, Mika tells Mecha that Ito's dad is on the town's education committee, and it would be bad if it got out that his daughter refuses to go to school. That's why Rabara, who is actually Ito's cousin, agreed to help her and move her to Korea House. Feeling sorry for Ito, Mecha decides to throw a Christmas party for everyone the following night. Suddenly, Rabara rejoins them on the roof and says she forgot to tell them something. She puts a vase on the ground and does the cheermancy dance, asking a ghost to break it. Yuta tries to help her out, but can't move the vase because there's no cinnamon in the air. Mika then explains that Rabara mixed up cheermancy and necromancy, and Rabara gets depressed. She has always admired her grandmother and mother, but simply doesn't have the talent to become an exorcist. To cheer Rabara up, Mecha and Mika do the cheermancy dance for her. It works in his room. Ito watches a video on the internet listing future victims of something called harakiri stalking. Surprisingly, his name is on the list. The next day, Yuta watches TV and sees an announcement for Kane's group. They claim that in 7 days, on December 31, an asteroid will crash into Earth and destroy humanity. They say that the United States government and other leading countries are hiding this fact, and that the leaders of these countries are hiding in secret nuclear shelters and planning to leave the rest to die. The Kane group is believed to be following the vision of their recently deceased leader, Subachik Mai, to bring about the end of the world. Upon hearing this, Yuta begins to think that Sabach's spirit is possessing his real body and wants to accomplish his goals. Mikaitan visits Ito dressed as Santa Claus and brings him a Christmas tree and tells him that he wants to have a Christmas party at his apartment. Ito then tells Mikaitan that he suspects he is Weird Juice because he saw the video of the bus robbery incident where Mikaitan enlisted Rivera's help. Mikaitan responds by fleeing to his room. There, Ito sees a strange humanoid squid sitting on Mikaitan's chair. Soon after, Mikaitan dresses up as Strange Juice and invites Ito to his room, trying to make it seem like Mikaitan and Strange Juice are two different people. Mikaitan suddenly enters the bathroom and leaves the door open, wanting to see what Ito is doing. Yuta walks in and finds that he's wearing a rat suit for some reason. It turns out that the squid in Mikaitan's room was just Mikaitan in a squid suit. The suit is actually a battle uniform with camouflage technology that he developed. Mikaitan uses a squid suit to become invisible and pretends to fall asleep. Using the suit again, he sneaks into the bathroom again, puts on his Weird Juice costume, and reveals himself to Ito, convincing him that Mikaitan and Weird Juice are two different people, and the Strange Jews are two different people. Suddenly, they hear Ravara screaming from Ito's room. Yuta, Strange Juice, and Ito, when they get there, they see a scary man in a black mask holding a Ravara with a knife. To beat him, the man storms into Rabara's room, where a rubber-spitting turtle bites his leg. When the Strange Juice scares the turtle, the man takes the opportunity to beat him and throw him out the window, and returns to the dog's room, milk carton, and turns off the rat suit by spraying milk on the invisible Mika. The bear cub comes and jumps on the attacker, but the man stops him with a knife. Ito rushes to the Mayan. The attacker tells him to hand over the bear. Uber reports. Cut in half. When the man tried to stab the bear, Yoda attacked him with Cinnamon Moi also attacked him, but Adam simply grabbed the bear, put him in a box, and ran out of the apartment building, only to find Kenji Miyazawa in his way introduced by a busy man in a superhero costume. But Kenji turns out to be very weak and is easily beaten by the attacker. Weird Kenji then asks the attacker to give him 20 seconds to get stronger, and the attacker is interested, so if he lets go, Kenji goes into the apartment building and does something inside and comes back using superhuman strength. He beats the attacker and returns the film. While doing this to the girls, the assailant ran away. Strangely, the girls were cut. AniMy notices the body is already healed. Strange Juice joins them, but the mask falls off, and everyone finds out it's the real Amikan. On the night of December 26th, Yuta held 2, he finds that he sent days again, even missed the Christmas party 2 days ago. Kenji brought Mika to his apartment, and we see that he really is the robot that Kenji knew he was. He says that she is doing him a favor for something and says that his fusion reactor needs to be repaired. After he leaves, Mika recovers and Makat maims the attacking turtle man because the rubber turtle bit him. Visiting Ito's apartment, we see that he is not at home. Using her psychic powers, she turns on her computer and sees the same website Ida was looking at earlier, a list of victims with her name on it. It turns out that Tito is with Roberta, listening in on Tamika and the Makat conversation. The conversation is about the monthly magazine that didn't arrive that month, but the two mistake it for Mika not having her period and possibly pregnant. They break into Mako's room and Raber faints when he sees that Mika is a robot. Mika tells Sadoga about Tenga Daihatsu, the world-famous inventor who created it. He died a year ago and left Mick and Cora a house, an apartment, and all his money. While the rest of Tenga's inventions are stored in a warehouse, Mika still has a strange refrigerator in her room. Mika was created 20 years ago and Tenga taught him everything from academics to cooking. He tells her that in a few years, he will meet the girl who will one day create Punch's secret power that will save the world. Until then, his job is to protect, nurture, and help that girl, actually Mika. In the past, two girls named Choco and Gariko play with a boy named Pine. They are all dressed in white and have their initials tattooed on their shirts and necks. Choco sings a strange song and tells the others that it is a song taught by someone named Ishigata. When you sing it, you should feel better when you're down. On December 27th, Raber is excited because a man named Glees is coming to him soon. On the news, Yuta sees a girl named Mako found dead, and remembering his name from a list he saw on Ito's computer, he realizes that Ito might be in danger because his name was also on that list. Yuna wants to warn him somehow. Tiranosuke says that he can possess someone because Robara is from a family of exorcists. As they travel to Tower Driver's apartment, Yuta decides to take over. Yuta takes a bottle of cinnamon from Makudden's kitchen and puts it in her skirt pocket. When they arrive at Robara's room, Yuta grabs the cinnamon and accidentally lifts Makudden's skirt, but avoids getting excited. He scatters the cinnamon throughout the room and then enters Robara's body, knocking him unconscious as soon as he regains control. As Robara, Yuta tries to capture Ito and tell him that he can kill him, but Mika stops them for no reason. Mika and the others start asking Robara questions about what she likes, and Yuta answers random things that come to mind. She said Robara's favorite flowers are rafflesias, her favorite song is Your Buns, and her favorite food is turtle food. When they are done, Yuta is somehow removed from Robara's body to another room. Sharon Anderson tells her that she can possess someone for 7 minutes. Later, the Glees visit Robara and they drink together. For some reason, he feeds the turtle, and Robara is confused but doesn't want to hurt him, so he thinks everything is fine. The Glees then perform a song called I Wanna Stack Your Buns, which Robara claims is her favorite. Once again, he is confused, but plays along. Finally, Glees gives Robara a rafflesia flower that smells like a dead animal. This time, Robara loses his temper and yells at Glees, accusing him of teasing him. Confused, Glees says he was just trying to make her happy. When they go up to the roof with Rafflesia, Glees says that he asked his friends to tell him about his favorite things before visiting him. They claim to love turtle bait and Rafflesias. Robara then tells him that when he was 5 years old, he woke up in the middle of the night and began to write strange schemes and instructions, pretending to be himself. When he was done, he faxed them to someone. He apologized for yelling at Glees earlier. The two decided to start over. Suddenly, Glee turns serious and reveals that he is from the United States National Security Agency. According to him, the command team is right. The asteroid will hit the Earth soon. To stop it, the United States secretly launched a satellite equipped with nuclear missiles into orbit. Using those missiles, they intend to destroy the incoming asteroid. However, Kane's group has managed to take over the satellite system with the help of a virus, and the United States wants to prevent it from destroying the asteroid. Hearing this, Miss Yuta is confused because the group is trying to warn people about the asteroid earlier. Glee wants to use Maka's genius hacking skills to remove the Kame virus from the satellite because no one else can. Realizing that Glee is using him to get closer to Maka, Robara becomes angry with him. Suddenly, Kenji appears on the roof and asks if there is an atmosphere in space. Hearing this, Glee starts to run away, but Kenji catches up to him and knocks him into a nearby pond. Before Kenji can capture Glee, Rabara throws his potted Rafflesia at Kenji, helping Glee escape. Even though he cheated on her, she still cares for him. Rabara then comes out and beats up Kenji, using a giant fish he took from the pond. Hearing the commotion, Mocker runs out of the apartment building and stops Rabara, telling him that Kenji is their ally. Then Rabara also gets angry with him and they end up falling into a pond and have an argument. Maka and Nico come to stop them, and now all the girls are fighting in the pool. Yuta does his best not to look at them. After everything calms down and dries up a bit, the girls gather in the kitten's room, but Rabara and Maka are still mad at each other. When Maka says that all the strange things started happening after the bear movie came out, Joe admits that he didn't find the animal on the street, but that Rondo, Rabara's younger brother, gave it to him. He came to her room a month ago and told him to take care of the bear for a while. When Rabara calls his brother a liar, Ito is offended and calls him a fake exorcist. The two have come to an end. Rabara leaves. Maki tries to tell Ito that he should forgive Rabara, but Ito gets angry with him and storms out, accusing him of not doing anything even though he should be a hero. Alone, Miketten seems to be in pain. He takes a pill and gets a little better. She skips 2 days and starts singing again until December 29th, just like we heard a girl named Kyoko singing. Ulysses, dying in front of the shrine while the snow is falling. It will be continued, so don't forget to like and subscribe.